You.
Well, I'm Kelly Wells, athletic director here at the University of Pikeville. In my spare time, I'm also the basketball coach. And while that is a neat title, it also comes with a lot of time and commitment. Balancing two full-time jobs is difficult, but also an awesome opportunity. So, one of the things that I've always said when I got into a career, I wanted something, one, that I enjoyed, two, that could change lives and help people, and three, could keep me competitive. All those things are on a daily basis. So I get an opportunity to visit with 600 student athletes. What an opportunity that is. I get to do the sport that I grew up and loved from day one. What an opportunity that is. And if we're going to keep score, this guy's going to try to win. So it gives me an opportunity to really be fulfilling in my job. And I really feel like the talents that have been given to me, to use those is critical for me. I want to use the talents that I have. Some days I wonder when I go home if we really get anything right some days, but I think I've been blessed with certain talents and I want to share those with other people. And coaching has been something I've seen my whole life, from my father being a coach, to seeing other coaches, to being one, that I learned everything important I needed to know in life from coaching done right. So I think it's important for me not only to do it, but also to share that with other people, to try to blossom that into a profession that sometimes doesn't get the greatest PR, into something that really is deserving of the people doing it right, changing lives in the right way.
Mm. So obviously balancing so many different hats and different roles. I mean, I wonder, as a kid, did you see yourself as a head basketball coach and athletic director, or as a kid, what did you want to do?
Yeah, as you grow up as a kid and in sports, every kid dreams of in Kentucky, obviously, playing for the University of Kentucky. And once your career's over in Kentucky, going to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. And that was my goal growing up. I wanted to play as long as I could possibly play. But also, as I grew up, I was around a coach who recruited, who evaluated talent. So I knew that not every person got that opportunity. I did know that you could go get an education. Everybody had that same opportunity. But to carry on in sports and athletics, you had to be something different. And I knew at some point that basketball for me, while I played every sport going through school, basketball was kind of my passion. I knew I was going to quit dribbling someday. So I knew that there had to be something else after that. And trying to make that decision on what that looked like for me was easy, because I lived with it every day. Like, I was raised around coaching and I was raised around sport, and I knew that's where my heart was. I can even remember as I took art class in middle school, we had to design like structures, buildings. Well, I designed my first gymnasium. So like, I had locker rooms and I had courts and design. So like, I kind of knew at an early age, when basketball became a thing that was going to end for me as far as playing, that I knew that I wanted to make a difference in coaching.
Mm. So when you talked about as a kid, you dreamed to play at UK and the Los Angeles Lakers, but now as an adult, is there a dream job out there for you? Are you living it?
I'm a huge believer of this, and it's kind of proven truth in my life if people study what I've done. Is I'm a true believer in blooming where you're planted. Do we have ambitions as people, and things that we sometimes, I know we're not supposed to be jealous of certain situations, and that's not appropriate, but like, I have great ambition, but I'm also a huge believer in blooming where you're planted. I'm sitting in my dream job. My wife is assistant principal at the high school in town, and for me, she has kind of let me follow my dreams, so to speak, as we grew in our career. Not that she wasn't a great teacher, and she was a classroom teacher forever, but now she gets an opportunity to chase her dreams, and that's a dream of mine, is her to be able to do those things. So she's moving in that direction. Both our kids are in a great school system, and they're blossoming, and they're becoming young people, young men and young women. My two kids, Kaylee and Mason, are the dream job for me, to watch them grow and bloom and do what they do. So sitting in a place where I'm at is perfect. I'm close to my parents. We're close to my wife, Sean's parents. There's just so much right here for us that we're very satisfied with where we're at.
Mm. Now, did anything, and you talked about growing up with a coach as a dad, so you saw talent all the time and you lived the basketball. Was there anything else in life that happened to spur you on towards this coach, but also this AD kind of role?
I've had health challenges. I've never been shy to talk about those things. And even as a senior in college, I was diagnosed with Berger's disease, which is a kidney disease. And I'm the only person in my family that has any kind of kidney issues whatsoever. And that was kind of my, like, are you listening to me now kind of conversations I had with God in my life. And just so happened it happened in college for me. I knew at some point that the only cure for what I had was a transplant, and that was going to be determined on God's will more than anything. And you can medicate it, you can do different things, but it eventually is going to happen. So I had my first kidney transplant when I was a high school coach at Mason County, and I was blessed to say that my wife was my donor. So to say the good Lord hasn't had His fingerprints on every piece of my life is not accurate. He has, and that lasted for 10 years. It was great. Then I went through that whole process again, and my sister's husband, second husband, was my second donor 10 years later for my second transplant. So the disease I have is very aggressive. We're praying that it's not as aggressive this time as it was the last time. And with that has come some complications. I've had hip replacement due to the medicines that I've had to take. I've had a nephrectomy for some of the medicines I've taken. It's given me some kidney cancer, and I've had to have some other things removed. So I've had my share of troubles when it comes to health. And so that's kind of guided my sales a little bit. I knew I had a window of opportunity to really chase my dreams and chase my goals, and that's what I did. I just went for it. And I've been fortunate that I've got a supportive wife and family, and we live every day as very thankful that we have the opportunities that we have.
Mm. You're really big on helping people cast visions, see their dreams, think about their abilities. So for you, when you think about putting yourself or your call in a sentence, what is your life's call in a sentence?
Trying to take people where they won't take themselves professionally, I think is a phrase that I try to use for not only my staff as an athletic director, but also my players, because there's certain things we as human nature won't push ourselves to, and one of those is conditioning comes to mind since we're in conditioning season. Like, I know our guys want to do well conditioning, but I also know what it takes, and it just takes what it takes. So we sometimes have to push that along and guide them into the direction they need. The same thing goes with athletics as a coach. There's times that we see and we channel ourselves on all our limitations and disadvantages, and we lose sight of the gifts and opportunities that we have, and the element of coaching on your team and how that affects it. So I think trying to get people to find their best version of themselves is something I chase personally every day, but certainly I like to cast that out to all the people that I'm around, because we have a choice. We can feel sorry for ourselves, or we can strive, and I just always have chosen. Now, not that I haven't had days where I felt sorry for myself, but certainly I try to choose to strive forward every single day.
Mm. Obviously, your scope of influence is large. I mean, you're a person that's well known in our community and really quite around, you know. But who have been the people that have most influenced you to help you understand your path, your call?
Well, I don't have any question. My mother has been that person. I steal a lot of coaching pieces from people all the time, like what I want to run basketball wise and what I want to do with our conditioning program, things of that nature. I steal pieces of that from everybody, but my mother's been the person that I just kind of has given me the track for success. I mean, she was the most caring person. She was very patient. She was very kind. She loved everyone, and not at the expense of knowing that, like, the Bible was correct. Like, there wasn't any bad words in it, wrong words in it, and she kept us tied to that, but also loved people with their differences. And she taught, I had to write a note one time that said, the person in your life that's shown you the first glimpse of what God looks like was always my mother to me. So that's kind of been where I've set my sails for her. But not that my father hasn't influenced every single thing I do with athletics and passion and motivation. And so, like, I had the perfect team at home, and not everybody has that example, and they're at a disadvantage. So I feel like it's my duty to share that with our student athletes and the people I'm around all the day, and hopefully that means we have some influence.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, when a person watches this video or encounters you and they say, "Man, Kelly Wells is living my dream. Like, I want to do what he's doing." What did you do to put yourself in this position? Well,
the biggest thing for me is I always tried to look at, like, being yourself. I learned at an early age that, like, you just have to be who you are, because, like, everybody else is taken. I mean, like, they've got their own personalities, and kids especially see through the phony plays, so to speak. I was in a position, my very first college job, the only one time I was ever an assistant coach, I worked for a man that I also played for, and he was a total different personality than I was. In year 2, I took over the head coaching position there, and I thought I wanted to be him in that role. And I learned quickly, one, that wasn't who I wanted to be, and two, it wasn't effective for me to try to be that person, and it really wasn't a successful thing for anybody that was involved in that program. So I really believe it's important to be yourself and find the things that make you good. Do a self-inventory, know your strengths, know the things that you're really good at, and not at the expense of eliminating those things you're not good at, but knowing those is important. And challenge yourself to get better at those things. I'm not a great avid reader, but as you know, like I've got books on my desk, like I force myself to read because I know that's where knowledge is gained. So even though you're not great at something doesn't mean it's not good for you. So, self-inventories are important, knowing your strengths, and then just chasing those. Like anybody can be told no, and sometimes the good Lord opens the right doors and closes the wrong ones, and I do believe that, and He's done that for in my life a lot of times. And I think praying over those things has helped me a lot and get confirmation, and also sometimes knows the right answer. So like hearing that and listening to being making educated decisions has been critical for me.
Mm. As you have conversations with players, students, coaches, and they are struggling to know what they're called to do in their life, what advice do you have for people like that?
I think the biggest, there's several things that go into that decision making process. One is your opportunities that lay in front of you. What are you qualified to do? Like if I want to go be a mechanic, like that's probably unrealistic for me to try to be a mechanic. I can't even change a tire or oil. So like that's probably going to be a huge learning curve for me. So I think finding the lane that we work best in is important. Something we're quality at. I think again finding your strengths, evaluating those, and I think so many kids come to college and it's just like, here I am, like now what do I do? And I think that's hard. I think that's a hard thing. So trying to figure out, while we all have an opportunity to do anything we want in this world, trying to figure out the things that we want to do in this world and chase the ones that are realistic to us. I have big plans, I have big goals, and I think it's important to write those down and not lose sight of those. But also at the same time, it's chasing the ones that are reachable for us, that are realistic for us. And I've been blessed. I've never had to work a day in my life because I've been able to do what I love to do. And not everybody gets that opportunity. I know many, many people that grudgingly go to work every single day or grudgingly go to their majors at school. And like I was never that. I've never been that. And I guess through my difficulties, I have found that like find a path that you're best on. And that's been very successful for me.